What's up, Skylar here with Sky Gardens. I grow flowers right here in West Texas, and I'm so excited to update you for the week again. Welcome back to our weekly update of what's going on the farm exactly at this moment, where I'm going to show you everything that we've got going on. Today is going to be a little bit windier day outside, so I'm not going to take you out there just because of the wind noise that will definitely hit the speakers of our recording. So we don't want that to happen, that's for sure. So we're going to talk about most things in here. I'll show you the other tunnel as well, and then we won't be looking at the cow today either. Speaking of the cow, that is our newest addition to the farm. Betsy is her name. If you were here last week, we thought it was Donald because we thought she was a boy. Upon closer observation, we quickly found out that Betsy is a girl, so we named her Betsy. Betsy Ross is where that comes from. Plus, it's a really cute name for our little baby Highland. So, pretty exciting stuff happening with her. Right now, I'm trying to get her used to me so that we can get her on a halter and start bringing her around the farm and get her friendly enough to take pictures and do all the different fun things, because everybody wants to see her. They all want to share in the excitement, and we want to share her. So I'm working with her a lot. That is actually a lot of the things going on right now, which is good because the flowers aren't blooming, so I have time to do it right now. This is a great time for her to be born. It's just a little bit cold outside sometimes, but that's okay. We're gonna make it out alive, right? Then as far as different things we've got going on the, I guess, not farm side of things, we've got our Valentine's Day things, options ready to go. So our spring subscription, and then we're doing a jar where people can come cut flowers, so that's exciting. And then we've also got our t-shirts, new t-shirts ready to go, which we are about to drop. So as soon as we get those all done, it'll probably be in next week's update where I can give you the link to get some of those. One of the t-shirts, this is actually never before heard news yet, but one of the t-shirts has our cow Pete on it. I'll just give you the rundown of the shirts, I guess. And it just says West Texas, USA, with Sky Gardens on it as well. And then another t-shirt says That's Ranunculus, and it has a picture of ranunculus, which are actually all the plants that we have back here for the most part are ranunculus. They're beautiful, one of our most favorite plants, and I traced those ranunculus on there too, so very special. It's a picture straight from our farm, traced, and then put on a shirt, so that's pretty cool. And then the last shirt is probably my favorite one. It says it's your breath in our lungs is what it says, and it's a picture of flowers that I traced from all different times of our season and then pieced them together into the shape of lungs on a shirt. So that one honestly might be my favorite, just because it has quite the story behind it, and we'll probably do a YouTube video. It'll probably be in his creation little part there, because it's so cool what God says about it. It's really neat. So yeah, we're gonna share that, not on this week's in his creation, but probably next week's, because that's whenever we'll have the shirt there too. So I'm really excited about that one. Probably my favorite shirt that we've made so far. And that's saying a lot because I like the other shirts quite a bit. We've still got all the old shirts. We'll have them still able to be bought. So they've got different things like garden roses and dahlias, and a daffodil on them. And our tunnel actually is pictured on one of them too. So quite a few different options that we've got going on at any point in time, I guess, because we're just insane. Then we've been working on our opening week for this year will be March 21st and 22nd. That'll be the opening weekend, and then from there we'll be open for people to come and visit the farm and see all the things, and it's gonna be beautiful. So I'm very excited if we can just get these things all growing along and doing really well. So that is the goal. Hopefully God will provide. Hopefully we know God will provide exactly what we need. It's just a matter of getting them all to that point, right? So even if we don't always know what we need, who knows what we need other than God? He's the one that knows. So thank you for being here for this crazy journey, because it is crazy. Yeah, it's kind of insane, but Let's give you an update on how everything's growing along. So right now, nothing is really planted outside. We would like to get a rain so we can get wheat planted where everything will be growing in the fall. It's kind of late to do that, but we haven't had a good rain since the end of the season. So, since the end of last season, like the fall season. But that's okay. We're gonna get it eventually. And one way or the other, even if that wheat doesn't fully mature, it'll be okay. So really that is just gonna give us a cover crop that goes down so that then, one, we can build the soil, and two, it won't blow in the springtime. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll get it in there one way or the other, or we'll get it tilled up and doing all right for the season to grow along after this. I don't know. We'll see. Whoever knows what God has in store for that. Then other outside things, the baby cow, of course, but we've talked about her and getting her all trained and everything eventually. And then we've got planter boxes outside, which are about to be filled with soil, and then plants planted inside there. Nothing crazy, just our perennial plants. So I'm super excited to see what perennials we can get growing in those places. We decided to put perennial beds in planter boxes this year and moving forward because I do not like the fact that some plants and long grows can be established and critters of all sorts can be hiding in those plants. I'm not a big fan of snakes. I don't think people that visit the farm probably are a big fan of being spooked by a snake, at least. And so the goal is to make it to where those things are at least not at your feet. And hopefully we can keep them out of the planter boxes completely. So that is in the works, to get all of our perennials planted in those places rather than being out in long rows. So I'm excited to see how that looks, and it'll also help the aesthetic of the whole farm in general, and so they'll be really pretty, hopefully. That is the goal out there. So over this next week, hopefully we can get some of our plants that we have already here planted in those and see how they do in those planter boxes. That one of the reasons we did the planter boxes the way that we did is because it can offer some wind protection within that 2 by 6 foot little area. And hopefully it makes those grow a whole lot better than they do outside anyways. So those will be really good. If it works really well, we'll probably use it a lot for Lisianthus because they are one of my favorite. And they just need a little bit more protection than what they get otherwise. So just out in the field or out in the wide open. So super excited for that. Our planter boxes in here and moving into here is the next area that we're working on. So the eucalyptus in the back, we're gonna get some sweet peas planted in between each of those. I need to get those seeds started. Speaking of that, and I've also got to get the barn all cleaned up and ready for the new year. So that is also in the docket for this coming week. This past week I've been planting Lisianthus. We've got 3 more trays to plant today. So it's actually in the other tunnel. I'll show you whenever we get in there exactly what those look like. In here, everything is fully planted. It's been fully planted for a while now. And we've got different things in different places. So these planter boxes look really, really good. They've got ranunculus growing along. I don't know if y'all remember last week or if you were here last week, but there were not very many sticking up at all. Now we have little green guys sticking their heads up all throughout our little planter box areas. So if these guys can just start getting some growth on them, they'll be doing really, really good before we know it. I'm excited to see how they do in this planter box setting, if they do better than out on the actual in the ground. If they do, who knows, we could be converting a lot of this area to this type of setting just because we'll be able to perennialize things underneath the planter boxes, which I'm going to show you here in just a second how those are doing. And then above ground, so it gives us 2 different layers and 2 different things on the farm, 2 different, I guess we basically have doubled the capacity of our high tunnels if we're able to use these planter boxes. The question is if we can get good shade tolerant things growing underneath them that will be able to produce really, really well or not. So either way, if they do better up here, it's probably worth it to try, but it will just make, you know, weed handling and everything, handling all the weeds and different things, has to be a major priority if we've got perennial areas set up in here, because we can't just till it under to restart again. So I don't know, we'll see how this goes. Stay tuned to see all of this and how it continues to evolve. So down here we do have these shade tolerant plants. You can see they are looking really, really good. These are actually guys that will not be, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Here we go. Maybe I can show you a little bit better. You can see me. But these are shade tolerant plants that will not be really full maturity for a few years. They won't be at their maximum ability to produce. Already got some weeds growing underneath there, but they are mulched, so hopefully we can keep some of those weeds out of here. And I don't know, so we've got hellebores and ferns down here. They are doing really good, but just won't have major stems probably for a couple of years, but that's okay. That happens. Then we're gonna turn this way and look at our ranunculus, and then poppies are actually what we have planted in between the rows for this tunnel. Let me just put it right here so you can see exactly what we're looking at. So sorry, I had to sneeze there. So this is a ranunculus row right here. That's a poppy, that's a poppy, there's a poppy, that's a little weed, there's a poppy, there's a poppy. So you can see the ranunculus are doing really well, putting on some good growth coming from the base there. The poppies are a little bit smaller, but they just tend to be that way for a little bit longer than the ranunculus will anyway. So we'll see how they continue to grow and thrive, and if they do thrive, yay. But this is our first year to plant those poppies in between the rows like that. We're just trying to maximize as much space as we can throughout the tunnel. So that is why it is the way that it is there. These are our anemones right over here. I'm actually going to take this off the tripod now and just start walking you around. So we've got some anemones growing. We've got some buds coming up. You can see a bloom right over there. The white over there, that is anemones. I need to get all those cut off. The goal is for everything in here to focus on green, good, like creating a foundation for all these blooms to come later on. So these things blooming right now is okay. They always start with short stems like this, but we'd rather them not be doing this at this point in time. Whenever the cold did come last week or the week before, we did have a little bit of damage over in that corner to some of the larger ranunculus plants, but they are all coming back. Let me show you what that looks like. We're just being real here. So everything, mostly there's not any damage to any of these ranunculus right over here, but a little bit in this section. Oh my, look what that is. That is a flower bud right there, y'all. Do you see that little guy? So these are all the white variety right here. They were a little bit bigger than everything else going into that cold. They still are, but you can see there are some, I need to get over here and cut off all the bad leaves. There are some leaves, I'm trying to show you. I left the clippers over there that are not good. So that guy is just a little bit damaged from the cold. The good news is that you've got a lot of good green, healthy growth coming from the base of those plants. So you can see right in here, you've got some good, healthy green growth coming right there. And that's on all those plants. So they are not damaged to the point where they're not going to be okay. I do need to get over here and trim on those just so that they are a little bit happier. But now that I'm seeing blooms, that's kind of terrifying, honestly. I'm gotta get going. I do need to get some water in here again, but as you can see, we've got some good soil moisture underneath the soil. We try to deeply water anytime that we water the ranunculus, and then try not to water them too much to where they're in trouble of any sort. So super good growth going on in here. Hopefully we can keep on growing right along. Probably need to feed everything some iron to give it a little bit darker green color. That's looking like that might be what it needs. And then try to give it some nitrogen based fertilizer, which would normally I do 20-20-20 fertilizer on mostly everything. Right now I want it to not focus on bloom production, but I want it to focus on actual green growth production. So we'd be doing more of a nitrogen based fertilizer rather than higher in the other numbers. So if you have any questions about any of that, please do feel free to ask. I will keep you updated on exactly what I feed them as soon as I do. But probably gonna get them some iron with their next watering, which might happen today, just a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Hold on a second. We're going over to the other tunnel. I just don't want you to not be able to hear me in between the two, so take a little bit of a break talking on that. But this tunnel is looking really good. It was planted a little bit later than that tunnel, so if you've been following along, then you know that it was actually planted last week and the week before, for the most part. So maybe a little bit before that too, I don't know. Let me show you what's going on here though. We do have 3 more trays of Lisianthus to plant in this tunnel. I'll show you exactly what those ones are. So we've got the Lisianthus plant right here, then a row of ranunculus right down there, row of Lisianthus, you can see these guys, row of ranunculus, Lisianthus, ranunculus again. So it's ranuncula, Lisianthus, ranuncula, Lisianthus, ranuncula, Lisianthus, ranuncula, Lisianthus, ranuncula. So 5 ranuncula total, and then 4 Lisianthus. You can see directly down those drip lines are where the Lisianthus are. The ranunculus are the ones in between. The ranunculus are actually planted as corms, so they're just still coming up. The Lisianthus are planted as the plants, so they're a little bit bigger. Look really, really pretty in those rows. So super pretty in here, growing right along. I've been saying this for the past 3 weeks. As I was planting that, I just threw these over here. Haven't been able to clean them and everything yet, and I'd rather get them all cleaned whenever I clean it all up, so waiting on that just a bit. In here, a little bit smaller ranuncula plants even than over there, but you can see they are starting to come up, so you can see that row forming, which is my favorite thing to look at, is as those rows begin popping up. I'm about to fall over. They start forming and you can actually see them, and it gets really, really exciting and really pretty. And so that's kind of what's been going on here. These 2 rows were planted before those 2 rows, so I want to show you from this angle. We've got a few more ranunculus even on this side that have been popping up, so super exciting. You're gonna love these guys whenever they start blooming. So if you're like, why is she talking about these so much, just be patient with me because they're beautiful. So this last variety right here, you can tell was smaller whenever they went in the ground, but they're starting to come up right over here. These ones look so good. The Lisianthus stops right over there, so they're not in there, but all the rest of these guys are looking fantastic. Let's look from this side just to see what we see over here. You can see barely those rows coming up right there. Some plastic from the last time that it broke the top. That only happens pretty often. And then the snapdragons are actually what these other things are. So these rows, we cut them completely down, and now they're coming back as snapdragons again. So we'll see how they do. We left them in the ground just because they were still doing so good, and they're starting to come back really well too. So if anything, we will take cuttings from them and then get them to continue. We'll take cuttings and then plant new little plants within their little areas. So it'll be really, really good. I need to get water on those ones eventually, right? Eventually. So everything is growing right along, as you can tell. Thank you all for joining us for this week's update. It was a little bit of a long one. I was telling you about all the things and the shirts and all the different fun things happening right now. This weekend I'm actually going on a winter retreat with our youth group, which will be fun. I'm excited to get to hang out with them, and then we'll get to work again as soon as we can, because that's what we do, just as much as we can, as soon as we can. So All right, thank y'all for tuning in today. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next time on the weekly update. And don't forget to join us on our Indus Creation segment, and then also I'm teaching you how to do something each week, so hopefully you're learning all different kinds of things from our craziness. It is insanity around here, so chaos, the most beautiful kind though. So thank y'all. I will see you next time, and if you have any questions or want to see anything in more depth, or are wondering anything, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I will do my best to answer it as long as I see it. So all right, I'll talk to y'all later.